What's up, Titans? Welcome back to another episode of Titan Sports, where we bring you the best coverage of Cal State Fullerton athletics. I'm Curtis Redmond, owner of the outfield, hitter of dingers, catcher of baseballs, layer of sack bunts, heir to House Redmond.
And I'm Amanda Garcia, mother of Dragon Breath pups, lover of Dodgers, interpreter of Espanol, first of her name alumni, Khaleesi of Cal State Fullerton. The softball team is starting the year off strong, but the same cannot be said about the baseball team.
Yeah, Amanda, Titan baseball took an early break from conference play to host San Diego State over the weekend. Fullerton lost the first two games of the series, but would send Michael Knorr to the bump to try and salvage Game 3. Let's go back to Goodwin Field. The Titans are 7-1 on Sunday games this season. Top of the second, Titans up 1-0. Jaden Fiend singles up the middle, past a diving infielder. 2 runs would score for SDSU, and the Aztecs would take a 2-1 lead. On to the bottom of the third with 2 outs, Fullerton would be fighting back. Mitchell Berryhill would get a blooper to drop into left field. 2 runs would score, and the Titans would take the lead 3-2. The rally would still continue, though, as Daniel Cope would come up and deliver a line drive to center field, scoring Isaiah Garcia. Titans would now lead 4-2. On to the bottom of the 8th, Titans looking to keep their lead. Hank Lafort would step up to the plate, and he would line a single into right field, scoring 2 more runs. The score would remain there until the 9th inning. The Titans would go on to win 7-2. Baseball will be heading to the Aloha State to have a 3-game contest against Hawaii, and will look to add more games to the winning column.
Titans softball traveled to Long Beach State for a 3-game series against the 49ers. Fullerton and Long Beach State split the first 2 games of the series, but the Titans took the rubber match with a 9-6 win on Sunday. The Titans trailed Game 3 by 3 at one point, but rallied back in the 6th inning with a 6th spot. Daisha Hill had a day at the plate for Fullerton, going 3 for 5 with a home run at 3 RBIs. Now the Titans will get ready to host a hot Hawaii team who has won 6 straight and leads the conference with an 8-1 record.
For an in-depth analysis about Titan baseball and softball,
We send it over to Kyle and Coy for this week's On the Mound.
thank you guys. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of On the Mound. I'm your host, Kyle Fulbright, and with me I have Corey Johnson. Corey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, but the same can't be said for Cal State Fullerton baseball.
That's right. Let's get right into that. The Titans have been struggling all season long. They have lost 6 of 8 series, and they have not been able to put it together this season. What have you been seeing from them lately in their play?
Well, what I've been seeing is that they just ended the 3-game losing streak against San Diego State, picking up the win in the rubber match 7-2. So they have put up a little bit of momentum going forward, but in these past 8 games, this stretch has not been good at all. They've scored 62 runs, but they've been giving up 48 runs. So that tells me that the offense is clicking, it's working, but that also tells me that the pitching is not picking up the slack. I mean, you have such a young pitching staff, and things just haven't been able to click all season long with them. And you've been seeing it as far as them trail behind in these games. And once they trail early, it's just been so difficult for them to get back into it. Against San Diego State, in games 1 and 2, they trailed early, picked up the loss in both those games. Against UC Santa Barbara, the Gauchos took the lead every single time in that series. So they got to take the lead early. They got to go out there. The lineup has to be clicking on all cylinders, getting guys on base, getting runners across the plate, and making sure that they jump out right from the get-go.
Yeah, speaking of their pitching, this past series against San Diego State, they gave up 21 runs, and they lost 2 of those games. The pitching has struggled all season. They have only 1 starter with an ERA under 5. If they keep this pitching up, do you think they have any shot at winning the Big West Conference?
I do not, Kyle, because I think that this pitching staff, like you said, they're just getting roughed up, man. I mean, you got such a young core of guys who are like sophomores and freshmen, and like you said, their ERA is over 5 right now. And Tanner Bybee, he's been the lone bright spot for them at the starting rotation, but you look down the lineup, you got guys with 5s and 6s, and that's just not going to get the job done. So I think that they need to start looking for some more bullpen depth, and look no further than junior pitcher Dylan Brown, who has only played 9 games this season. And when you look at last season, he featured heavily for them. He's got an ERA under 1. I think he needs to get some more game time. I also think that junior pitcher Matthew Sanchez needs to get more game time as well. Only played 4 games so far, and his ERA is 1.5. And I think if you get these two guys on the mound, they could maybe a starting pitcher is getting into a jam. Maybe they're giving up 1 or 2 or 3 runs early. You yank them out of there, and then you get one of these two guys out there and kind of, ride the ship a little bit and smooth things out so that the lineup can get a rhythm and start to get a flow and maybe get a rally going forward, so you're not trailing behind so quickly in these games.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said earlier, their bats are hot right now. Their pitching might not be, but their bats are hot. Mitchell Berryhill especially, he's leading the conference with a 4.43 average and a 5.90 batting average in conference play.
Absolutely.
How great has he been for this Titan lineup?
He's been tremendous, man. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who just got named Big West Baseball Field Player of the Week for the first time of his career against the Cal Poly Mustangs in that series. He was just absolutely dominant, and you've just been seeing the growth in his seniority leadership on this team. He's just been really good of a guy to be in that lineup and kind of like ride the ship a little bit. Maybe Hank LaForte's not hitting well. Maybe Saheed Valenzuela's not doing well. And then you just have Mitchell Berryhill, who's just out there just raking. And he's not maybe a home run hitter, but he's a guy who can definitely get on base. He's a guy who can definitely hit the ball and track well and definitely do some stuff out there in the field. So Mitchell Berryhill, he's been tremendous.
Yeah, definitely. Lastly, they have an upcoming series with the Hawaii team that they should beat, and then a huge series with nationally ranked UC Irvine. How do you see them faring in these games?
I think that they have to win this series outright against Hawaii. I'm hoping for a sweep, but when you look at the fact that they haven't been playing well at Goodwin Field, but have been a really good road team. Hopefully, traveling out to Hawaii and playing against the Rainbow Warriors, they can get a victory in that series. Like I said, a sweep would be nice, but I'm saying that they're going to win that series. But I'm not expecting a whole lot against UCI. Again, a pitching staff like UCI, a lot more veterans, a lot more guys that have seniors and juniors in their staff and in their pitching rotation. I just think that they're going to have a lot of trouble with the Anteaters, and I think that they're going to end up dropping that series. And maybe they pull out a win, but hopefully you just try to avoid getting swept to keep yourself alive in the Big West standings.
Yeah. All right, so now let's jump over to Anderson Family Field, where Cal State Fullerton is coming off yet another series win, this time against their rivals Long Beach State. They had a big comeback victory yesterday, scoring 6 runs in the 6th inning. What did you see from them overall in this series?
I saw a lot of good things, especially from Alexa Neal in the first game. She went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs in game 1. And then in the second game, you saw them kind of struggle as far as their lineup-wise, which is kind of unusual for them. They got shut out 1-0, but then they bounced back strong. I mean, you saw Deja Hill, you saw Ari Williams in the second game. Going back to Deja Hill, she went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs in game number 3. And then Danny Martinez, what a workhorse. She played all 3 games and was just, whenever the coach would call her name, she went out there into the circle and just dominated. So I'm really hoping that going forward, you continue to see this sort of play and get more consistent play out of the lineup, and you don't see those irregularities like getting shut out.
Yeah, Danny Martinez, a freshman this year. She's already won Freshman Player of the Week 3 times this season. She's been great for this team. Now the Titans are 7-2 in conference play and 27-15 overall this season. Do you see them having any trouble winning the Big West Conference?
I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I think that they definitely have a shot of winning the Big West Conference. I think that the 3 teams that they could give most of them trouble and see a threat from are UC Riverside, UC Davis, and Hawaii. But like I mentioned, the pitching staff has been tremendous with Danny Martinez. Their ERA is combined 2.62, and just a solid all-around team overall. Solid in the field. They don't make too many errors. Solid at the plate. They got so many different players who can hit you left, right, and center. They got power hitters. They got players who can get on base. It's just a really good, solid team all around. So I think that they have a really good shot of winning this Big West title.
And looking ahead now, they have a huge upcoming series with Hawaii, who is tops in their conference and winners of 6 straight games. What does Fullerton need to do to win this series and to go on and win the next series after that?
I think that this is going to be a big test for them because, like you just mentioned, they're atop of the standings right now. And like I mentioned, that this is probably going to be one of those teams that when you run up against them, you have got to beat them. And you've got to maybe try to even go for a sweep here. But I think it's going to be a close one because when you look at the Rainbow Warriors, they're undefeated on the road right now, 3-0. And so they're not going to make it easy for them going to Anderson Family Field. And so Fullerton, all season long, they've made Anderson Family Field a fortress, 14-5 record. And if they just continue to do the little things that they've been doing all season long and try to limit the home runs, especially when it comes to Callie Heen and Nicole Lopez, their two best hitters for the Rainbow Warriors, I think that they can definitely go on and win this series and maybe solidify themselves as the top spot of the Big West Conference.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how it comes, how they fare to finish up the season. All right, that's all we have time for today. We now send it over to Ivan Duran with In Case You Missed It.
What's up, Titans? I'm Ivan Duran giving you this past week's scores and results for this week's edition of In Case You Missed It. Starting off on the mound, the Titans baseball team had a midweek game against USC where they came up short with a score of 6-5 after previously leading 5-1 into the 8th inning. Heading over to the green, the women's golf team participated in the Wyoming Cowgirl Classic on April 8th and 9th, but had a rough couple of days after placing 12th on Monday before finishing at 9th overall. Putting over to the men's golf team, they participated in the Wyoming Cowboy Classic also on April 8th and 9th, but fared much better, finishing 2nd overall in the tournament with a score of 16 under par. Over the weekend, they participated in the El Macero Classic from April 12th to 14th, where they finished 3rd after shooting 7 over par for the tournament. Swinging over to the women's tennis team, they started the weekend off strong with a 4-0 shutout against Cal Poly on Saturday, April 13th, which gave them their 5th win of conference and 13th win of the season. However, they were unable to replicate their success the day after against UC Santa Barbara on Sunday, April 14th, as they fell 5-2, dropping them to a second-place tie with Long Beach State in the Big West standings. Last but definitely not the least, we sprint over to the track and field team, who participated in the UCSD Try and Invite and the UCLA Rayford Johnson Jackie Joyner Kersey Invitational, which was highlighted by Marcel Espinosa's school record-breaking performance in the men's 400-meter sprint, where he broke Darion Zimmerman's previous record of 46.86 seconds with a time of 46.13. Paris Samaniego and Chris Shiley also posted season best times in the same event. That's all for this week's In Case You Missed It. I'm Ivan Duran, sending it over to Jorge Zarate with this week's Titan Timeline.
Thanks, Ivan. Let's take a look at this week's upcoming games and tournaments. Putting it over to women's golf, the Titans team will be competing in the Big West Championship Tournament, beginning on April 15th to the 17th at Moore Park College. Serving it up to tennis, the women's tennis team will attempt to continue their hot conference play when they host UC Riverside on Saturday, April the 20th. Running it over to track and field, the track and field team will be participating in the Brian Clay Invitational from April 17th to April 19th in Azusa. They will then sprint over to the Beach Invitational on April 20th, which will be held in Long Beach. That's going to be it for Titan Timeline. Back to you guys at the desk.
Well, folks, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode.
You can watch our past episodes and game highlight packages on our YouTube channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CSUF Titan Sports, and like us on Facebook to stay connected with us.
On behalf of all of us here at Titan Sports, I'm Amanda Garcia.
And I'm Curtis Redmond. Remember to keep those tusks up, Titans, and we'll see you next week.